What changed is exactly what you said, regulatory environment. I work in a very regulated world. I'm an investor in so many different financial services companies that are reporting issuers. And so we don't have the luxury of being offside with regulators, not now, not ever. And in 2017, when we were talking about those epic moments, and it's true because I get those things shoved in my face every day, but I point out that when things change, I change. That's when I took my first Bitcoin Ethereum positions in 2017. Obviously, I've done very well with those. But recently, after the regulators in Switzerland, France, Germany, Australia, England, Japan, Canada, all started to change their stance on crypto, it allowed me to start to allocate to it in a compliant way. And that's really what got me going. Obviously, this is an asset class that's here to stay. It's still going through a very nascent phase. I'll be putting a lot more into it as time changes. And still the regulator's not 100% on board. We all know that. But things are getting better. Not just domestically, but internationally. And so I'm an international investor, and in many countries where we're talking about Bitcoin or Ethereum or other assets, other crypto assets, tokens and coins, the regulators opened up. You know, I'm not a cowboy here. I'm actually allocating capital towards achieving a distributable return of between 6 and 8% a year. And so, you know, we have a lot of volatility in Bitcoin. And right now we're kind of 61% back from the lows, and that's great. But not every crypto asset has to be that volatile. So when you start to build out your portfolio, let's go to USDC, you know, you actually can take that as a relatively stable asset and write contracts on it for 60 days, 30 days, 90 days, and generate 3.5%, 4% yield, which is what I'm doing right now. And so I look at it as a portfolio approach. Some of these things have volatility, some don't. But you know, the biggest problem, which is holding all of us back in the crypto industry right now, is compliance at the institutional level. You know, you go in and you say, look, everybody's talking about this. All right, I'm running, let's say I'm running $1 billion mandate. That's not uncommon. And I want to put 10% into crypto. You have to be able to find a platform that can link to your internal reporting and your external regulatory. You know, it's not like I got if I'm putting a 10% allocation on $1 billion, that's $100 million. I'm not going to download an app on my phone and put $100 million into it. I'm going to have an institutional compliant platform. And the industry's not there yet, Pomp. It's got a lot of work to do on that front. And the more we move towards that, the more capital is going to be coming in.
When you think about this, the Bitcoin that ends up getting mined, that meets all the milestones on this ESG kind of talk track, why are people not willing to pay more for it? I think at one point there was a thought process, and maybe we just haven't seen will they or not, but it seems like folks, they want that Bitcoin, but from an economic standpoint, I haven't seen anyone paying more for it. So one, have you seen anyone pay more for it? And then two, do you think that's something that will happen, or do you think that that's unlikely to happen in the future?
You know, at the beginning of this journey, I thought it might happen, that there'd be some kind of wrapper on clean coin versus non-clean coin. I don't believe that anymore. I think you need fungibility across every single coin, all 21 million of them. And I think what's going to happen is for incremental buying coming in, and I'm saying $1 trillion, if my clients, just the institutional and the sovereign funds alone, and not all mine, but that whole asset class of investor, just did a 1% allocation towards just Bitcoin, that's $1 trillion worth of buying. So we really, really want to solve this problem as an industry. So it's not because you get on one side of the debate or the other. They simply can't check the box and invest until their compliance committees say yes. So all of these new mining operations, what I think is going to happen is you got the existing coin out there now, provenance known or not known. Got it.
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now let's continue.
But if you're setting up a new operation to mine coin for the next 30 years, you're going to get a lot of institutional interest in that infrastructure cost. Let's say it cost you $500 million to set up in West Texas. You could probably fund that if you guaranteed those institutions that every coin awarded would go on the balance sheet, stay there, and they could claim to their compliance committees it was mined sustainably through wind and solar, which you can do in West Texas. So and you got the China thing shutting down, you've got all these compliance issues in Eastern Europe. All of this stuff is happening in the background. And it started, the height of this frenzy, it was in Miami at Bitcoin 2021, when you saw that debate raging, and Elon Musk said he wouldn't take it anymore for payment on Tesla. All of that stuff was happening at the same time. issue hasn't gone away. On the other hand, I see it as a huge upside potential to solve the problem. I want to be long Bitcoin when that 1% gets allocated to the rest of the funds, because that's when you're going to see really amazing incremental valuations. Anytime people say, oh, I know the ceiling on the price of Bitcoin, they have no idea. It could go anywhere. And it's just because it depends. And here's really what when I talk to institutions, there's a change in philosophy about their thinking on, let's just stay with Bitcoin. Bitcoin used to be considered for many institutions that hadn't owned it yet, the ones that were just looking at it, as a currency. They're not thinking that way anymore. They're looking at it as a property. So you would buy it in the same way as a AAA office tower in Manhattan. You buy an allocation to coin that you're allowed to own, you never trade it. You own it as an asset. You know it's compliant, it checks the box. You own it on your balance sheet, your provenance, and it's something that you can own as property. And that's where I think we're going. Some percentage will still be traded, but for the big institutions coming in, this is an asset class that is a property.
A lot of people jump when they think of crypto and public companies to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, right? And I think that there's obviously some that have done it, some that will do it. Is there a middle ground where this USDC strategy that you're employing, you'll see some public companies start to do that as well, and it's merely a low risk, volatile value, kind of high yield generation type strategy from like a treasury management, rather than try to jump straight from US dollars to Bitcoin?
You know, that's a great question. I'll tell you why that's a great question, because when you go to the actual compliance departments of large institutions, and I've had many of these dialogues just in the last 2 weeks, can you convince your compliance department that USDC is not Bitcoin and that you should somehow get a pass on USDC versus Bitcoin, and it shouldn't be regulated in the same way? And that's where you have a lot of gray zone, because you think about if you're going to be on the treasury side of your balance sheet, let's say you're managing $100 billion of cash, and you want to put a 10% in USDC, so instead of getting 22 basis points, you can get 3.2%. And you go to compliance and say, I'm going to take this cash and convert it to USDC, and I'm going to start writing contracts on it. What do you think the compliance department's going to tell you? They're going to say, wait a second, have we ever done this before? Show me where. Show me where you got the sign off on that from the board. Show me where you did the reporting, not just internally on the mark to market, but you reported successfully to the IRS on the quarterly and annual basis. The problem isn't that the product isn't desired. The problem is there's no infrastructure for compliance yet. We're not talking about small dough here. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars moving fluidly off balance sheets into these contracts. And the only way you're going to get that done is prove to compliance and prove to the regulators that you can do it in a way that you stay on side. So the good news is, from an institutional guy, in terms of my thinking, what an opportunity. What a huge, huge opportunity this is for somebody or multiple platforms to solve this for the trillions of dollars that want to use it.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.